Hello, welcome and good evening, and welcome to the Functional Solution class. I'm Tal, I'm the Educational Director at the American Academy of Functional Health, and with us we have Dr. Chill.
Hi, everybody. Welcome.
It's good to see you, Dr. Chill.
It's great to see you. And I guess it's Happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year to everybody. Hopefully you had a good holiday season. You're enjoying, have a good time with your loved ones. And now that we are in 2026, we're excited to talk about how can we make 2026 our best year ever.
Absolutely.
And so typically in these classes that we're doing, we're mostly talking about clinical topics, subjects, conditions, maybe symptoms, and what are the mechanisms. And we do a deep dive into different root causes or epigenetic factors, talk about strategies that providers can use. But today, since we are at the beginning of the year, the new year, and there's the beginning of the year has such a powerful momentum. And so this is what we're doing in the beginning of the year. One of my mentors used to tell me, what you do in the beginning of the year will set the tone for the remaining of the year, for the rest of the year. And so we wanted to first talk about the business of functional medicine and how to make functional medicine profitable so providers enjoy the work they're doing. They're getting paid well for the value that they bring for their patients. And so for that reason, today we're going to talk about one of the most important factors in owning a practice, which is your website. Mm-hmm. And I want to bring Dr. Chill to this class today because Dr. Chill have years of experience, over a decade of experience with healthcare marketing and building practices. Right, Dr. Chill, want to share a little bit about your experience?
Yes, absolutely. So I started a clinic in Arizona. I had a clinic in San Diego. I sold that clinic and I started multiple online programs, and I sold a few of those programs as well. And now I'm helping practitioners with setting up their practices and also running their practices, and then at some point scaling their practices. So we've gone through the gamut of trying to figure out what works, what doesn't, and that's why we're kind of bringing all of this information to you as well, because we really want you to start off this new year really strong in your practice.
Yes, absolutely. And I know Dr. Chill is I'll add a couple of things to what Dr. Chill was saying, because I know Dr. Chill is quite modest. But just to give you a little bit, expand a little bit on Dr. Chill's kind of bio, if we can call it that, or experience. He's been a functional medicine physician for over a decade. He's got multiple trainings. He's done an MBA, furthered his education in business with an MBA degree. And in the last few years, he's been, he also has lots of experience with virtual practices. He created a national-wide virtual practice for metabolism, metabolic conditions, weight loss, skin care. And so those have been quite successful. And we've also seen in the last few years, Dr. Chill has been coaching and mentoring one-on-one our practitioners, our functional medicine practitioners, and the practitioners in our practice accelerator program. And when you see the testimonials on our website from practitioners such as Suzanne, practitioners such as Nakichi, nurse practitioners who are building thriving practices and keep growing their practices, that's majority of it is with the support and mentorship of Dr. Chill. So So that's
Wow.
that's
What a great intro. Thank you for that.
yeah. So that's why I wanted to add about Dr. Chill, and I wanted to have Dr. Chill talk about with his extensive experience with with the virtual world and the virtual businesses. What can we learn about practice building, right? And the reason we chose website, right? I know Dr. Chill, we had this discussion previously about where should we start this new year, right? And there's multiple things we can talk about, right? We can talk about technical things. We can talk about like establishing your business. We can talk about like which entity or all these things. But today, the website is one of our most important factors, because before patients ever call you, book a consultation, or invest their time and money, your website is the tool that makes the decision for them, right? So it's no longer an opinion. It's research is showing us that the website is one of the most important tools, or you can call it a landing page or whatever it is you have online to present yourself. And there's some interesting statistics that I wanted to show. This is Stanford Web Credibility Research showed that close to 75% of people judge a business credibility based on its website alone. That means that before somebody understands your credential, how much training you got, or how valuable your experience or clinical outcome is, they already decided whether they trust you or not based on the first impression, right? This is what I said. First impression is most important. And it happens really fast. Like there's a really interesting research by Google that showed that people form their first impression of a website within just a few seconds. And they decide whether they leave or stay or book a call within just a few seconds. And so understanding and improving your website, having a good website, is no longer just a nice to have. It's your business card, your first consultation, your online educator about yourself, your business, your services, and it's the way to build trust, right? It's almost like your silent sales team all working 24 hours for you. So this is interesting, Dr. Chill. I remember when I opened my first practice, this was probably 24 years ago. It was interesting because I remember websites was not such a big thing as it is, or social media. So I was walking around with business cards. Do you probably remember those times, right? With
I remember all of that. The business cards, even trying to figure out what is a website.
Yeah, exactly. So I would walk around with a business card, and at the time, I had the opportunity to work part-time in one of the hospitals. They were looking for somebody who's doing the integrative approach, and they had an opening for acupuncture and some minimal manual therapy at the rehabilitation department. And so, of course, I jumped on the opportunity. And after a few weeks of kind of going back and forth and interviews and stuff like that, I got in. And I remember I would work on patients that acupuncture was, it's my initial training, and then nutrition, herbal medicine. But I would walk in around in a hospital. I couldn't do nutrition. I definitely couldn't do with inpatient care. I couldn't do nutrition. I couldn't do, it's hard to do any herbs, any herbal medicine. So I used what I could, right? I used the tools that I had available. But it was really interesting that I would, as patients would experience care and they would get better, I would ask them a simple question. Would you, there's so much more we can do to help you to reduce inflammation, improve your function, reduce pain. are you interested in learning more? And if they say yes, I would pull up my business card and I would say, give me a call. When you give me a call, when you go home and you settle, give me a call, right? So so
That
today,
was the old school way
yes,
of doing it. Yeah, that
that
was the
was
full on sales approach.
exactly, and that was it. The business card, that little
Mhm.
square, it was like maybe an inch and a half or 2 inch by 3 inch. That's all you got, right?
I think I
So,
still have some of my old business cards, just
yeah,
as for memory's sake.
yeah, absolutely. And as soon as websites came in, it really was a big game changer, because then you can take them on a it's not just presenting who you are and what it is that you do. It's a really well designed website actually takes them on a journey, and they want to learn more, and it sells your services for you 24/7, right? So over the last several years, as we've been coaching, mentoring healthcare professionals, probably in the last 10 years, I've looked at hundreds of websites. I've built several websites for my practice as we were growing. We helped we give strategies to others. And so today, what we wanted to do is make sure that we talk about the 5 biggest website mistakes that can push your ideal clients away and um, can cost you a lot of money in lost business, and more important, the opportunity to help your patients and help your community to get better, which is why we go into this field, right? To help people. So we're going to talk about the 5 biggest mistakes. Dr. Chill has some really great tips for all of us as well on how to fix those mistakes. We're going to show you some pictures of real websites that we found as examples. And of course, this is not to shame anybody or to degrade anybody, but this is really to for all of us to learn and develop and grow our practices, grow our successful practices. Because I know that I've before I had a mentor that point out the mistakes that I made, I didn't know what I didn't know, right?
Mhm.
And Dr. Chill, I'm sure you encountered that a lot in the mentorship calls and the group practice building classes. It's that, like, we don't know what we don't know, and it can cost us a lot of money to not make the right decision.
Absolutely. Just when you're starting out, right, you have this idea of what it should look like, what it should be. And the reality is there's a lot of changes that have happened with marketing and different strategies and what actually works and what doesn't. And when we're talking about this is really coming from a constructive side where we've made these mistakes, right? These are the mistakes that we've done in the past and we've learned from because of our mentors, and also from learning through other people, other practitioners, even marketers as well. Because you and I have both paid a ton of money on trying to figure out what really works. And they've come in and honed in on our websites, on our business systems. And what we're trying to do for everyone here today is give you all of the mistakes that we've done so you can apply that to your current website today.
Absolutely, absolutely. I can tell you that I've spent just on website review. I once hired a company, paid them a few thousands of dollars just to review my website, and the couple of recommendations that they made for me have made me, over the next 2 to 3 years, probably more than 10 times the amount that I invested, right? And it was the same thing with hiring my first mentor, who pointed out a few of the mistakes that we're going to talk about today, especially mistake number 5, which is very critical and
Mhm.
most practitioners make. You would see like 99% of practices that we have looked at are making this mistake, and that's number 5, and it's costing them so much money. And once my mentor pointed out to me and say, Tal, you have to fix, you got a leak in your bucket. You got to fix this thing because you're trying to load up your schedule. You're trying to increase your income. You're trying to, add all these services, profitable services, but you have a major leak in your client basis. Like, people are just not scheduling with you because of this. And as soon as he showed me how to fix it, right? First is the awareness. This is the problem. Second is like, here's the strategy to fix it, right? I was able to more than triple my revenue within 1 year, within 12 months. And I'll never forget it. It was one of the most amazing learning experience that I ever had as a practice owner, because I never thought about like one simple strategy that could more than triple my revenue, my practice revenue, without putting more time, more effort, right? And I didn't invest. It wasn't a big investment of money, except for the mentorship, for the guidance. The guidance did cost me $12,000, but it was a guidance for a whole year, right? But that first month or second month, that my mentors pointed out and said, Tal, you have a leak in your bucket. You have a major leak in your practice, and it's just there's a bleeding out, and you have to patch it as quickly as possible. And I did that, right? And I followed his direction, and we're going to talk about mistake number 5. It is probably one of the most important ones. So you want to stick around and make sure that you're not making that in your practice. So Dr. Chill, take us into mistake number 1 that is very common and practitioners are making in their practices.
Yes, and absolutely. This is really about helping you look through your website, and these are simple fixes that you can do, right? And it's about optimizing the website so you're not losing any potential clients or patients. And a lot of practitioners that we work with, they don't even realize they're losing patients until we kind of go through some of these steps with them, and then their businesses start to increase, and they're like, oh, they're like, as Dr. Cohen was saying, there was a leak in the bucket, right? You wanna make sure that we're patching up those leaks, and that's what we're trying to do with these website mistakes. So the first mistake that I often see with practitioners is when I go through their website, you've probably noticed this as well. You've probably gone through many wellness websites, right? And what is the first thing that you often see? It is a pretty landscape. It is a picture of grass, a river, a raindrop, right? Some really beautiful aesthetic website. And that's the first thing that you see. And it's great because it's calming and it looks beautiful. But here is the issue with that. A lot of visitors or potential clients, when they go to that website, they're like, okay, that's good. It's the same thing that I've seen with every other wellness company, right? But they're looking at it and saying, am I at the right place? Is this company for someone like me? And here is the thing. They're not going to your website to look at the aesthetics of the website. They want to get their issues addressed and fixed because they're in pain, they're exhausted, they're inflamed, they're anxious or stuck, right? These are a few examples of a couple of websites that we could even optimize a little bit further, right? Because we want to hone in on the main points of why the patients or the potential clients are going to your website. Another thing that you want to consider when the first image that they're seeing is that it needs to be more about them and not about a landscape, not necessarily even about you as the provider, right? So I've seen some websites where the first image that pops up is an image of the provider at the top. That doesn't necessarily help either, or even just a landscape of the office. That it's not necessarily why they're going there, right? This is something that you can do on other pages of the website, but this shouldn't be the first thing that they see. And what you should be doing instead is focusing on their pain, their issues. You don't want to focus on the landscape or your credentials yet. They're still important, right? But this shouldn't be the very first thing that they see. Your website, when they go onto it, should reflect your niche. Who do you help? How do you help? Who your ideal client is. It should be speaking directly to that client or that potential patient, right? And it's going to go into the outcomes that they want. That's it. These are the top 3 things that should be on the front page: your niche, the type of clients that you help, and what outcomes they're going to be getting. And that's what the patients want to see, right? Is this for me? Is this website for me? Is this company for me? Is this practitioner for me? Because it's all about them at the end of the day, right? Here are a couple of examples of this. Let's say you have a practice on joint pain or mobility. You don't want to show nature photos, yoga mats, abstract, calm imagery. This often is what we see when we're looking at websites for these types of practices. You want to show that you're actually helping a patient, right? You want to show a couple enjoying a walk, what they're doing on the day-to-day, what their outcomes are, right? A lot of people that have joint pain, it's even difficult for them to enjoy day-to-day life activities, as like walking on the beach, just like this picture, right? This is kind of what we're wanting to see, some movement on there. Or you want to have you as an image helping out a patient with their knee or their shoulder, and you actually doing some sort of physical either manipulation for them, helping them with mobility, things along those lines. And then what you're going to say, this is in a headline example, right? We restore mobility to help you live without pain. And this immediately tells the patient, this is for me, this provider understands my problem, and there's hope for a better outcome. And we have an image of an example that you can see on there. And you can see the stark differences between the website that we showed you before, where it's extremely abstract. If I went into that website, or if you went into that website, what would you think it was? You wouldn't really know. And then you would be wondering, is this for me? Or am I going to a concert? Or is this the different type of office space that I need to go to? It has nothing to do with their chronic conditions or their issues. And in contrast to that, let's go to a website that goes directly into who you're helping, who it's for, and then an image that represents their outcomes. That's a change that you can do right away. And this is the number one mistake that I see with most practitioners that are starting out. And this isn't to cut anybody down or anything like that. This is just what we're seeing. And like I said, I made this mistake as well in the beginning, and it was causing leaks in my bucket. I wasn't getting optimizing the amount of patients that I could get by doing these minor changes that we're going to go over. But that is going to be the number one thing that you want to look at for your landing page, which is the first page that they see when they go to your website. It should be about them. It should talk about their niche. It should be discussing who this is for, and it should be talking about outcome. And that's it. That's all they want to see. And then that's when, because you have a few moments to get their attention, they can't be guessing, right? And so you want to ensure that you're really straightforward and direct on how you're helping them and who you're reaching.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad that you're bringing this up, Dr. Chill, because one of the mistakes that I made, and putting in hours into building my practice, and I just added an associate, and I was able to grow from a tiny office to an office with several treatment rooms, and we were growing a team. I was so excited about space, right, that I put a picture. My front picture was of the reception with the chairs, and I had really nice chairs and all that stuff. And I was so excited because it was the first time that I could actually afford to have a bigger space with nice chairs. Right. And then I was so excited about it. And, my mentor pointed out to me, he's checked my website. I was like, listen, I'm trying to get more clients here. I'm trying to grow. I added associates. I'm trying to fill their schedule up and help more people, help more patients. And my mentor looked at my website, and the first thing they told me is he's like, Tal, what do you see when you go to your website? And I'm like, I see these beautiful chairs. And he's like, and are you a furniture store? Right. So I'll never forget it. He's like, I had these like wood chairs with nice kind of flush, really comfortable seating. And it was like, he's like, are you a furniture store? Like, what are you selling here? Right. What are you promoting here? And I'm like, no, I'm not trying to promote my.
Right. And we've all done it, right?
Like, nobody wants to sit in a waiting room too, right? It's like when we schedule an appointment with a provider, the last thing we're thinking of is we want to sit there and wait and wait and wait we don't want to wait. We want to walk in and be seen immediately, right? So this is the type of mistakes that we make. And it's a good thing. Thankfully, thank God that I had an experienced professional that can point up the issues. And we wanted to bring, by the way, another really great.
You don't know what you don't know, right?
Exactly.
It's like, sometimes you don't understand that because you're just starting out, and if you don't understand that there's actually a strategy on how to get patients and potential clients that has worked, you will go to the first thing that you think that they want to see.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not to say, as Dr. Chiu was mentioning, it's not to say that, those are, and we've seen a lot of different examples over the last few years, but, if you put a picture of a river or a flower, I mean, yeah, it's aesthetically really nice, but does it really convey who you are? What type of value you bring to your patient? What kind of transformation? That's what they're looking for, right? If I'm investing as a client, my time, effort, and money, I want to know what's in it for me, right? Like, what would the patient get out of this? So we did some research also preparing for today's class, and we wanted to bring another really interesting example. So Dr. Chill talked about the pain clinic. Let's talk about fertility. I've seen some fertility or women's health, right? And when I searched for those websites, there was a few really interesting stuff. There were small and big practices that have showing something like this, for example. This is a big chain. They obviously invested a lot of money in Google Ads because they're coming up on the top. So that means they're investing thousands of dollars every month in ad spend. And when I clicked, so I looked for fertility or women's health, and they pop up on the top. I clicked on it, and it takes me to a form like this. And there's absolutely no explanation about who they are, how is their approach different than other practices. The first thing they ask you is to fill up this long form. And you know what my initial response was? I'm not even going to bother, right? I'm not even going to spend more than 2 seconds on this website because it doesn't really tell me anything, right? They didn't provide any value whatsoever. There's nothing that promotes their services. And so I brought you this as an example because I don't want you to make the same mistakes and have clients bounce out of your website. Even if they heard about you, a friend or a family member referred them, or another practitioner, or maybe you invest in some time and effort in getting people in to fill up your practice, online or offline. You definitely don't want to make these mistakes. Now let's take a look at the second picture. This one was actually really nice. This is another fertility practice. By the way, I chose fertility because fertility is big business. And most of these practices, the IVF in general in the US is quite expensive. It typically ranges between $12,000 to $30,000 per one round. It's a very expensive business. There's no guarantees, and it's quite expensive for most patients, and it's not covered by most insurance plans. And so this is where these practices have to shine to get the attention of their clients, because to them, every client is a potential $15,000 to $30,000. Now, by the way, here's another idea for you. If you are interested and are passionate about helping couples to conceive and to have to establish their family or improve the women's health as a goal for improving fertility, then this might be one of those great specialties in functional medicine. There's not a lot of practitioners who specialize in that or focus on that, so that's just another little tip for you. But here's another practice. Now, again, the practice. Let's go back to the previous picture for a second. So here's a practice, and you can see here they obviously invested a lot of money into their reception. It looks beautiful. The chairs. There's a nice picture in the back. However, as a patient, if I know that I need to invest $15,000 or $20,000, that's a big commitment, or $30,000 in some places, right? That's a big commitment. And for women to go through this journey of fertility, it's quite a long journey, and they're going to invest a lot of time and effort beyond the investment of money. So what does this tell me? They got a nice office. Okay, that's great. It's a nice reception, but it doesn't tell me anything about what I'm looking for if I'm a patient struggling with infertility, right? What I want is a family. I want the end result, which is a baby. So let's take a look at another practice. This is the only practice that I've seen that actually focus on what the patient wants, the end result. And I got to tell you, this is really, really good, right? The decision to have a baby is one of the most important ones you will ever make. And then work with a friendly specialist who understands your needs before you do, right? So this is great because they making me reassure that they understand that this is the most important decision I'll ever make. And I want a baby, right? I want to establish a family. So they understand that right away. And so this is another example I really wanted to bring to all of you. And so when you build your website, focus on what your patients desire. What do they want to get out of your services? Dr. Chill, I know as we're going into mistake number 2, right? This is, again, one of the big ones that we're seeing, which is there's no virtual way in websites to book a call, right? This is something that I'm sure you've seen that. I've seen it so often. It's you go to a website and there's nowhere to book a call, right? Or an appointment.
Absolutely. There isn't a spot, or you have to look for it, right? And then even before that step, it's even really about building even more trust with them, right? Because you need to build trust in layers. The first section with mistake number one is to build trust with them by showing exactly who you help and how you help and the outcome. You're speaking directly to the client, right? Then the second part is you need to layer this trust building with them even before like they have booking a call. But those booking a call buttons should kind of be everywhere on that website as well. But they need to understand that they can trust you and they can go into a solution. And one of the best ways to build more trust and layering that trust for them, right? The whole point is to continue to educate them and to continue to build your likability, knowability, and trust with them. And a short video on your website in the second section can help you do this for them. And here is an example of that from a website, right? And this goes right into the heart of what you're doing. She talks about how to use functional medicine to get to the root causes of their conditions and to help them get relief, right? And then you explain yourself in 2 to 3 minutes, introducing yourself, why you got into functional medicine, what you saw missing in conventional care, right? This is part of the differentiating factor here, what you're passionate about with addressing root causes. And then you invite them to book an appointment with that. And those buttons should be very clear. Now the patient has gone through your landing page and they understand that they can get an outcome and you're speaking directly to them. And now you're building more trust by explaining yourself, a little bit about your background. It doesn't have to be a long section on what you've done. This is really talking where you're talking to the potential client and what they've gone through and how you help. And then you're inviting them to book that call. And the reason why this is really important, because if you have a video that continues to build likability and trust with your potential clients, this can help to increase conversions by up to about 80%. And then landing pages with videos convert about 34% higher. Remember, Dr. Cohen and I were speaking earlier, our job right now with going through these mistakes is to help you prevent those leaks in your bucket, right? And one of the major leaks is that people go onto your website, they go to on a website and they don't understand what that website is. They don't understand who you are. They're going to leave that website, just like what Dr. Cohen did when he took a look at that fertility with that application right away. The first thing that you're thinking is, I don't want to fill that out, right? You're gonna bounce right out of that website. And so you want to continue to build that credibility and likability and trust with the patients. And this data is showing that the videos can increase conversions up to 80%. Landing pages with videos and short videos can convert 34% higher. And then the whole point of that video is to build trust faster than just copy alone. So this is not about adding work for you. This is about helping you to pre-qualify your patients even before they book and to have them understand exactly what you do and how you help.
This is as part of the journey that we want our potential patients to take when they first go into let's call it the first encounter or first impression of who you are, what it is that you do, the value that you bring, right? So we want to take them on a journey in which first they see a picture or text that makes them understand that you understand them. You are focused on helping them achieve a certain goal or desire that they have, because that's why they're going to invest the time, money, and effort. And then as they scroll through your website, you want to have some sort of a short video that helps them to connect with you. Now, Dr. Chill mentioned, we have scripts. Dr. Chill kind of went over what it is that you should be talking about during this short few minutes video. We have templates for you if you want a scripted template of exactly what to say and what works better and what that you can use. But have some sort of a video. Now, doesn't have to be fancy. You don't need an expensive camera for that. On the contrary, we're seeing really good success with videos as simple as a practitioner taking their cell phone, holding it, and saying, "Hello, it's nice to meet you. My name is so-and-so. I am really passionate about helping patients such as yourself to achieve reduction in pain, better quality of life. This is how I do it. And I invite you to book an appointment with me." That makes it feel very warm, very friendly. It removes some of my barriers as a patient to who is this provider? Can I trust them? Would I feel comfortable with sharing my health challenges, right? So we want to make them feel comfortable, and that's a part of the journey. So let's talk about mistake number 3, which is your website doesn't clearly explain how you're different. And we've seen that happen over and over again, where patients don't understand. They go to a website and they're like, well, how are you different than others, right? If you are a medical profession such as physician or nurse practitioner who also does primary care, have an explanation. How is functional or integrative medicine different than more medication? Remember that many of the surveys that we've looked at show us that anywhere between 40 to 60% of patients are dissatisfied with the standard of care, which is an amazing opportunity for you to offer something unique. You just need to explain to them that when they come to see you, they're not just going to get more drugs and then you're going to send them home like everybody else, right? You are offering a unique service that is based on personalized precision medicine, personalized care plan, right? You listen, you take the time to listen, you're there because you want to be there, you're passionate about it. And so you're focusing on what's causing the disease, not just managing symptoms. But that's all great. And functional and integrated medicine are powerful tools. Like we've had, if you've seen Dr. Kim, the nurse practitioner's case studies that she presented here, last month in December, you would see how powerful transformation patients go through in as simple as 2 to 3 months with using the functional and integrative medicine tools. But you need to convey that on your website, right? So you don't want patients to go into your website and say, "Oh, this looks like something I already tried. I already went to see other practitioners. I got other drugs. You want to make it. You want to build confidence with your patients. So give them clarity about who it is who are you, what are you passionate about. So in most websites, how do they try to do that? They show a long bio of credentials, right? I went there and I did this and I did this. And it's like, I've seen websites that are like, there's like 2 pages of like text. The practitioner is writing all about themselves and their journey in life and all of that stuff. And yeah, while some might read it, let me ask you this: would you read it? If it's like 10 p.m., you finally got a few minutes of peace from your kids screaming all day or going back from work and you're looking for a solution to your problem, would you read a 2-page text about a certain practitioner? I probably wouldn't. So You want to position yourself as an expert. Dr. Chill, you want to show us the example of the example that we found that really conveys this really nice.
Yeah, absolutely. This is really the point that we're trying to make here, right? Is that this isn't about you. This is about your patients and your potential clients and what they're going through, right? And how you actually help and who you're speaking to. This is an awesome, awesome example, right? As Dr. Cohen was saying, we're trying to differentiate ourselves. You don't have to go into a long diatribe of what functional medicine is. You just need to go into the straight, direct facts of who you are and how you help, right? This is a great example of that. Hi, hey, I'm Ayana. I help women and men. And then you're going to talk about what they're struggling with, right? This is who struggle with chronic dieting and disordered eating and body image concerns. And then what their goal is, which is make peace with food and their bodies. And that's it. You want to keep it really simple, straightforward. They should be able to read this in a few seconds and understand exactly how you help, what your experience is. It does that all in one sentence. And this is kind of what we call what your promise is, or your promise statement, or even your mission statement, right? It talks about how you're differentiating, what your niche is, your ideal client, and what you're offering. It does that all in one sentence. So this is a great, great example. And this is what we typically go through with our practitioners when we're talking about what to put on their websites and in their landing pages.
Should take them to a video where you're talking about it for 2-3 minutes, sharing a little bit of your experience. That's how you promote ethically, friendly, and professionally. Promote your services so other people will say, yeah, you know what, this looks great. I feel more comfortable about it. They understand my concerns and whatever niche you're focused on, and that takes them to the next step, right? Now that we covered all of that, and we help you to convert more people on your website, more potential patients to become potential clients to become loyal patients in your practice. Dr. Chill, take us into the next step. And this is a mistake that we see all the time in websites.
Yeah, we kind of alluded to this in the beginning here, right? It's sometimes you get to a website and you are looking for how to book. And there is no easy way to either book a call, book an appointment. And here is really kind of the hard truth around that. Just because someone visits your website doesn't necessarily mean they're ready to book, right? Life can get in the way, but they should be able to come back to your website and see where to book right away. Your website should have a spot that says call us or book now. Otherwise, you'll lose them, right? And most people will never come back. On top of having the booking appointment information, you need some sort of way to continue the conversation and building the relationship with them. So you need a clear way for them to book appointments. But even before they do that, a lot of potential clients and potential patients, they're not always ready to book right away. So we need to continue a conversation with them. Dr. Cohen, do you want to go over some of like the most expensive mistakes that practitioners make about not continuing the conversation and building the relationships?
Yeah. So after we've covered the potential client's journey, right? Where do they? How do we take them into, first of all, staying on our website? We understand their needs, their desire, their goals. We understand their struggle. Have a video that introduces yourself. something that is more interactive than just a picture and some text, right? That's where we want to, and of course, have a mission statement like the example that we showed. Next step, Dr. Chill mentioned, is book a call. Don't just have a phone number. I've seen so many practices make that mistake. There's a phone number. We have to remember one thing. So many of our patients, and we have data on that. We have data that looks at when patients click on your website, where do they go, what do they do? And many of the patients, I would say majority of the patients that are looking for a certain service, they're looking for it in the evening. After work, after they're done with work, they have some time in the evening, the kids went to sleep, they are struggling with back pain, with fatigue, hormonal imbalance, whatever it is. Now they have time for themselves, maybe a little bit of time at nighttime, right? Maybe it's 8 p.m., maybe it's 11 p.m. Guess what? Your office is closed. There's nobody that's going to answer those phone calls. And even if they leave a message, they call and leave a message, your chances of getting people the following day to respond where they're at work is sometimes slim and sometimes none, right? And so we don't want to miss this opportunity. And in an age where we're all used to fast, easy, simple way to get things done, right? If Amazon taught us anything, multi-billion-dollar company, is that the less steps I need to take to book an appointment with you, the better. So it's better if you don't force patients to call your office, have a book an appointment on your website, and not a book an appointment. I've seen a lot of providers make this mistake where it's book an appointment, takes them to a form, and then they have to fill up the information and we'll get back to you. No, you want to book an appointment, have some sort of a HIPAA compliant scheduler that they can book right there and then. That will bring you more revenue because they book, and obviously they need reminders, but they need to book a way to book an appointment. Now, as Dr. Chill mentioned, once you get that, this is mistake number 5, is probably one of the biggest mistakes. And this was a big game changer when my mentor pointed out to me and said, Tal, you got a big leak, right? Your practice is bleeding. You invest in so much time and effort and money into marketing, and you're bleeding from the outer side, and you don't even know it. You have to stop the bleeding first. You have to patch it up, and you have to make sure that the people that are coming in to check you out, more and more of them stay and become patients. So one, you have an opportunity to help them. Second, it brings more revenue, right? And for us, at least, every patient would typically stay between 4 to, I would say, 8 months on average. So for us, every patient coming in is an opportunity to completely transform their lives. And business-wise, in terms of revenue or income, that was an opportunity to increase our revenue by anywhere between $3,000 to $10,000 over the course of 6 months or 8 months or 10 months. And so I knew as soon as my mentor pointed out to me, I was like, how did I not see this earlier, that I was losing so many clients because I wasn't continuing the relationship. I wasn't building up the nourishment, right? I wasn't nourishing the relationship. So what used to happen is patients will go into my website, they maybe ask for more information, maybe they book an initial call, and some of them disappear, right? Some of them disappear. Maybe they're not even ready. They go to my website, they say, oh, that looks great, but they're not ready to book an appointment. And how do we know that? Because I asked them, and there's so many patients that told me, you know what? I showed up today, but I first heard about you like 6 months ago. And I'm like, 6 months ago? Like, that's great. And what happened? And they're like, well, I checked our website, but then something came up. A friend referred you to me, and I checked your reviews on Google. I was like, oh, looks great. I wanted to do this, but life got in the way, and I kept telling myself that I'll do it, and then I forgot, right? And so thankfully they came back 6 months later, but sometimes they don't. And so think about how much money you potentially going to lose or losing right now if you already have a practice, if you're not paying attention to this. This is really important. So even if they book a first visit, how many of you experience a patient coming in for the first time and you put out so much effort to, you care about them, you want to help them, truly want to help them. That's why you got into healthcare. Your heart is in the right place. You give them recommendation, you give them a prescription, you give them recommendations for nutrition, lifestyle medicine, maybe some nutraceutical strategies that can help them tremendously. And then they never show up. They never come back. You know they need care. You know they're struggling with multiple chronic conditions. You know this is not just a quick fix. You want to help them, but they don't come back. And so what we want to do is we want to prevent that. We want to make sure that we build a long-term relationship with patients. And so one of the major things we want to do is make sure we collect their name, email, and phone number. That's optional, but very powerful if you do have that and you have a system that supports that. And that essentially helps us to continue the conversation through emails or text messages or maybe a call. And all of that could be automated, by the way. So you don't have to sit there like I did 12, 13, 15 years ago, making calls to patients or sending them an email. Hey, John, thanks for checking us out. How are you doing? I wanted to check in. Do you have any questions? Do you need any support? Here's how to book your next appointment. You don't need to do all of that. You can automate the whole thing. But how do you ask patients to give you their name, email, and phone? Now, one mistake that I've seen happen is practices like I showed you, the fertility practice that spend thousands of dollars on Google ads. They just take you to a form. It's like, what's your name? What's your phone number? What's your date of birth? What's this? Why do you do this? It is like 20 different questions. The likelihood of patients filling that out is very slim, because we're not going to invest so much time and effort as potential clients before we understand the business and if they're a good fit for us, and what do they provide, and they understand us and everything that we talked about, right? So how do we get potential clients to be excited about giving us or giving you their contact information so you can continue the conversation and show up in their email box, which, by the way, statistically, people check their email boxes 3 to 15 times a day. So you want to be there. You want to be there when they're struggling with pain and they're opening up their phone, their email on their phone or their computer. You're right there to remind them that all they got to do with a couple of clicks, they can be scheduled to meet with you to start their healing journey. So how do we do that? How do we get them excited? So this is what we refer to in healthcare marketing as lead magnet. Essentially, a lead magnet is a tool that gives them something valuable in exchange for their name, email, phone number, the contact information, right? It's not just asking them to do something before we provided any value. It's about giving them value first. It's the first rule of reciprocity, which is give something valuable first before you ask for something in return. And so here's an example. This is something that we used in our practice. The Healthy Cookbook and 30-day meal plan. We have different versions of that for our weight loss programs. We had like a Healthy Cookbook and 30-day meal plan for weight loss. We had, that was for the functional weight loss programs, where we focused mostly about understanding why they gain weight physiologically and how we can provide a long-term solution instead of a weight loss drug. And so that was one way. We had another lead magnet, the 3 root causes of chronic neck pain most doctors miss, or joint pain most doctors miss, right? We had another one, which is why your labs are normal but you still feel exhausted, right? So we had these simple ebooks that they could get from us. They can just click and download in return to their giving us their contact information. And then what happens in the back end, that's where the real magic, that's like the secret sauce of the whole thing. And by the way, if you're thinking to yourself, well, how do I create something like that? I don't know how to. Well, we already have all of that. So when you are in either our functional medicine program or our practice accelerator, we got you covered. You already have all of that for you. All of those resources are there for you. And so this is where the magic happens in the back end. In the back end, we would use a system that automates this whole thing. So you don't have to manually do it. You don't even have to think about it. It happens automatically 24/7 when you're sleeping or on vacation. The system takes in their contact information and starts sending out emails. So every 2 days, they'll get another email saying, oh, hey, John, thanks so much for reaching out. It's been a couple of days. We wanted to check in, see if you got questions. We're here to help. We're very passionate about helping people just like you who are struggling with chronic pain or hormonal imbalance or whatever it is. And the next step is I invite you to book an appointment. If you're offering free 10 minutes consultation, amazing opportunity. Just put the link there to book a call. That automatically every 2 days, every 3 days, that is going into the patient. And when the patient wakes up in the morning, they go to work, they're like, oh gosh, my back is hurting. I'm struggling with fatigue. I have headaches, depression, whatever it is. You show up in their email box. You show up in their text message, just ready to take them in, right? So we also have emails that are more educational. They build trust, explain about functional medicine. And so they need to be thinking of you at least 2 to 3 times a week, right? And we don't do that. We don't do that through interruption marketing. We do that through educational marketing, right? It's providing value. Each email provides another value. It's a small check-in. It's a small little article, like a short mini article about the benefits of your services, right? So there's different ways to do that. But this is something really important because according to a survey by Marketo, which is an online marketing platform and agency, 96% of website visitors are not ready to buy on their first visit. Not ready to schedule on the first visit, not ready to buy on the first visit. They need some time. And if you don't capture those leads and you don't continue the conversation, again, that's a major leak in your bucket. That's a major loss of revenue and opportunity to help others. So, Dr. Chill, I feel like we covered a lot today.
And we did. This was extremely important information for the new year, right? Because this is what we often see with practitioners and their websites. I see this to this day. And this isn't a fault of the practitioners. You just don't know, right? Obviously, we've done these mistakes as well. But once you fix this, you will start to see the return on investment. You're going to start to see the results. You're going to start to see that patients start to come and book more with you. You get more and more patients by just doing these minor changes in your website. And here's the thing. This is a pro tip that I wanted to wait till the end here for everybody. This website, yes, it's needed, right? And it's a great tool, but this isn't the #1 converting tool that you have access to. Another converting tool, especially for potential clients that really don't know anything about you, it's what's called a funnel system, right? And we go into that and we actually give you a funnel system in our accelerator program. And then we've talked about this in previous podcasts as well. But websites are really great if you have a strong referral system already, if you have a strong SEO, or you have a strong marketing campaign, right? Those 3 things this website is really great for, and it's a strong tool. You should have this tool, and most practitioners start off with a website, and it's a good starting point. And this is why we wanted to go over all of these points for you to help you optimize the website. But this isn't the only tool that you should be using, and it's not the number one converting tool. The number one converting tool is really a funnel system. And we'll talk about a little bit about that in the Practice Accelerator program. And we actually go through the entire funnel system and give you the funnel system in that.
Yes, absolutely. And you can tell that both myself and Dr. Chill are really, really passionate about helping practitioners such as yourself to grow a successful practice or establish, I would say probably close to 80% of the practitioners, I would say majority, close to 80% of the practitioners in our community are coming in and they work in a hospital. They are looking for taking the next step on building a practice for whatever reason that is. Maybe they want more time with their family, being, own their own schedule, being in charge of their own schedule, take time off whenever they want to, maybe travel, maybe spend more time with family. Maybe they want to just transition because they know that functional and integrated medicine is a better long-term approach to help those patients than the standard of care. And of course, we have a lot of practitioners that also, they want to practice profitably. So they want to make really good money. And when you have solid marketing and you have good clinical training, this is the recipe for success, right? Good clinical training and strong marketing. That is the recipe for success. And that's where we're seeing, you go to the American Academy of Functional Health website, you see testimonials for our programs from practitioners who came out of a hospital, like Suzanne, out of primary care practice when she was getting paid per hour and a certain amount, right? And now she's making $300 per hour and she's fully booked, right? She's making $313 per session and she's fully booked, right? Or you see nurse practitioners such as Gina, who is now 2 years later, I think a year and a half, 2 years later, when we did a check-in with her, she's charging $800 per appointment and she's fully booked, 3 months booked ahead. So the demand is there. The demand is there. We got practitioners from all across the United States. We got practitioners from Canada. We got practitioners from the Middle East. We just enroll this month a few from Dubai, from the Middle East. So we got practitioners from pretty much different places in the world. The potential is there. You just need to learn how to do this properly. That's why we're here with you every step of the way. That's why we do these classes, because we want to help you to grow. Every strategy you learn and you apply, you grow. You grow a little bit. Small steps leads to big results. And if you want to learn more and you want to work with us one-on-one on building a successful practice, I would invite you to the Practice Accelerator program. This is where we show you the 5 most important successful practice strategies. We do this as a live call. Let's show the first picture with how do you design a successful practice. So I'm going to show you really the steps that I took with my mentors, the systems that we have developed over 20 years of learning what works and doesn't. Some of these systems are patent, so the Academy actually purchased some of those systems after we've used them for several years, and we saw that it just works. And so, so the first one, first step from the top left is the new patient flow. This is really how you fill up your calendar with new paying clients without spending any money on marketing on offline or online. This is the flow that you take new patients that keep them in your practice for the long term so you can get them results they're looking for and increase your income. The second one is the ideal patient framework. This is really important to understand. How do you attract your ideal patient who will pay out of pocket for your knowledge, skills, and guidance? If you want to work with patients that truly value you and your expertise, then this system is for you. Number 3 is the health expert framework. This is a unique system that builds the know, like, and trust factors between your potential patients or clients and you, right? And all of this is we created once, and then it's automated. You don't have to create it again. We do it one time. It's automated. It works for you. And this is really important because we all want to work with somebody that we like, we know, we trust. We know that they're passionate about helping us achieve our goal, desired goal. And it also, what I learned from my experience that when I applied these strategies is that it quickly positioned me as an expert. So then I could get paid more, and patients value my time and effort more than before when they didn't hear anything about me. They just showed up for a consultation knowing nothing about who I am and what it is, the value that I bring. So this is really important. And so if you are working with clients but are not getting paid enough for your knowledge, skills, time, and effort, this system is for you. Or if you want to build a practice that truly gives you freedom and with patients that you love and enjoy working with, then this system is for you. Some of our practitioners in our community, such as Gina, the nurse practitioner, if you check out their testimonial, they're getting paid over $800 per appointment. And then the next one is your signature talk. This is number 4, your signature talk. Here is where we focused on the presentation that explains the value of your services and eliminates objection. This is really, really important because many of us have certain objections before we take the necessary step, right? Think about it for yourself. For example, with yourself, before you got into functional medicine, you might had objections. You might had objections that held you back from going into functional medicine and investing time and effort and money learning functional medicine. Maybe those objections were, I don't know if it's going to work for me. I don't know if my patients are really going to get better. Maybe I don't know if I can earn money doing this thing. And then you come in and you join our classes, you look at the testimonials and you're like, oh, like there's other nurse practitioners, physicians, pharmacists who are making really good money out of this and they're enjoying their work and they're getting really great results. I should be able to do that too. And that kind of alleviates your concern. We have to do the same thing for our patients as well, because when they show up, we already want them to know that they can trust us, that we have their best interest in heart and we can help them. So next one, number 5. So your signature talk, again, just to summarize it, that could be your primary conversation. This could be your short presentation. We have templates for all of that, by the way. That could be your webinar. So those are all important, but we have templates for all of that. So you don't need to figure it out by yourself. We are doing it with you, and we have it also done for you if you choose to just use the tools that we already have and use. The last one is the consultation close. This is where the patients show up in your practice. What do we say? How do we take them in this like mini journey to get them enrolled in your memberships, your programs, whatever it is that you're offering? So this is overall the system that helped us to grow a practice from 6 figures to 7 figures. And if you want more patients to say yes to your services and commit to staying with you over going to other practices where they're not going to get the same level of care that you offer, then this trainings and strategies are for you. And again, just to summarize it, this with the Practice Accelerator, we are there doing it with you. It's not like you just out there by yourself. We have mentorship. Dr. Chill is actually going to work with you one-on-one. And so the whole system is really designed to provide live, on-demand guidance and classes. You can log in whenever you want to. We also have the HIPAA-compliant marketing platform. That's all included. You can see pictures of that on the right side. The funnel, the scheduler, the landing page, all of that, we set it up with you and for you. You don't need to be tech savvy. Sometimes we we get asked, like, do you need to be tech savvy? That's something that Dr. Chill can talk more about, because he's already set that up for multiple practitioners. And this is really a highly converting business system that helps you to grow your practice. Dr. Chill, you want to talk a little bit about, do they need to be tech savvy to put together those systems, or
not really, right? As long as you know how to cut and paste and then drag and drop, that's kind of all you really need to do, and type. And my team and I, and the whole platform team, there's a whole 24/7 tech team that's here to support you as well. And then also there's already built-in systems for you. All you need to do is go and personalize it to your specific needs, and we'll walk you through that entire process.
Yes, and I understood that you also do one-on-one coaching with them to help them to really kind of personalize things, start sooner than later.
Mm-hmm. And that's the biggest thing, right? Every practitioner is at a different spot in their practice. Some may be doing one type of program. Another might be doing a clinical. One might be doing one-on-ones, right? We want to personalize these business systems. We have the strong foundation, right? You want to start with a strong foundation, and a system that works. But then from there, it needs to be personalized to your specific business needs. And that's what those one-on-one coaching sessions are for. And that's what this whole support team is there for, is to help you personalize your business system.
Yeah. And I know also that, interestingly, every practitioner also has a different goal. Mm-hmm. So some of them want to reach to 80,000 a year and just work 3 or 4 days a week. I've heard practitioners such as Suzanne. The first thing she said is, if I'm transitioning from this job that I have in primary care in a clinic, I want to know that I'm doing something that I love, but I also have a consistent income every month that is the same. So mm-hmm. Then you both, when you're doing the mentorship calls, you pivoted and built this membership practice where now she's starting every month with a certain amount of income. So each patient, I think, pays $300 and something, if I remember, $313 per month. So even just 40 or 50 patients in her practice, she's starting her month with $12,000 to $15,000 just by having membership that are ongoing, continuing. And last time that I talked to her, she was hiring an associate mm-hmm. so she can get more people in without sacrificing more of her time, right?
And that's the thing. We're here to adapt with you, right? Your business is going to change and adapt as you go along. Yeah. We're in this for the long haul with you, right? Your business is going to consistently change and grow, and we want to help you strategize with that growth, right? So a lot of practitioners may start off with just one-on-ones, but then there's going to be a point where they want to branch off and start to offer packages and memberships. And a lot of times that happens sooner than later, right? Because they start to see the success of everything. So we go through and go into and personalize how you're going to create these packages, these memberships, and what does that look like in your day-to-day? What does that look like in your business systems? And then there's practitioners that we have now that are like, I want to create another program. This program is doing well. Let me create another one. So how do we duplicate our efforts? How do we scale this, right? Everyone's at a different point, and we help you, and we're there throughout all of your different points in your career and in your practice.
Yes, absolutely. And so for anybody who is serious, if you're serious about you're watching this and you are serious about establishing a practice or growing a profitable practice, I would highly recommend to check out the Practice Accelerator program. We have a big promotion right now with the enrollment, so that'll save you quite a bit of money. But the real blessing in joining such a program is in being surrounded with practitioners who all want to grow their practices, and having a mentor, a business mentor who has done it, who has built successful practices, virtual or brick and mortar, and can give you the right guidance, show you where you're making mistakes that are costing you money, and then helping you grow. Because remember, for us in my practice, for example, I used all of those tools that are in the Practice Accelerator. That's in fact how I grew my practice. And yeah, while I had to pay over between $12,000 to $20,000 every year for my mentorship, we're actually making it for you. The Academy purchased those systems that we previously used, and we're making it for you very affordable. Plus, we also include the HIPAA compliant digital platform, the CRM. It includes the landing page, the emails, the text messages, the phone, the secure email, the hosting. Everything is included there. So instead of you going out there and trying to figure it out by yourself, spending hundreds of dollars on a HIPAA compliant website, HIPAA compliant emails, HIPAA compliant text messages, schedulers, all of that stuff, we got it all in like one system that connects and talks, it connects, and it's like, and we not just give you it's not a software, it's like everything that Dr. Chill has been using is being loaded up for you, all the funnels, the emails, everything. So it's done for you. So if you're interested, check us out. We are very passionate, as I mentioned, helping you. This is what we do every day, and your success is our success. Your success is our success story, is another success story for us to show everybody else. That's really what we're passionate about. And so with that, I want to thank Dr. Chill for being here, for sharing his years of experience. Dr. Chill, it's good to see you as usual.
It's great to see you. Happy New Year again.
Yes, Happy New Year to everybody. I want to thank our media team for allowing us to be here, for the work that they're doing. And I want to thank each one of you for taking the time to be here, growing your practices. And again, we're here because when you are doing better, we know that we're accomplishing our mission. If you help more patients, you get paid well, you have things that are automated in your practice, you are well positioned yourself in terms of your marketing, and you have good and solid clinical training, then we feel comfortable providing you with a lot of these classes and value and effort, because we know that your mission aligns with our mission, which is to change healthcare worldwide. And you can do it in your community, wherever you are. So I appreciate each one of you for the work you do for your patients, for your dedication to helping your community. And I hope you have an amazing 2026. This is the momentum. We're in January. This is where the momentum comes out. And your decision now is going to determine where you're going to be 3 months from now, 6 months from now, 12 months from now. You're going to be happier. You have more time with your family. Would you have more money coming in? Would you change more patients' life? This is the time this is really the time to do this. So I appreciate, again, all of you, and we'll see you in the next class.